Earlier this month, the White House invited more than 40 heads of state from across Africa to strengthen political and business relationships. Over the course of the event, D.C.'s most glamorous hotels became temporary homes for some of the most brutal dictators and human rights abusers in the world, provoking mass demonstrations, some of which were received with violence. So to talk about just that, I'm joined by Kambale Musavuli, spokesperson for Friends of the Congo. Great to have you back on, Kambale.
Thank you for having me back.
So the video we're about to see is the aftermath of what happened at this event. I wanted you to explain exactly what happened to one of the men who was protesting outside of the Congolese president's hotel.
Yes, so we had protesters who went to where the Congolese president was staying, about 3 of them. And as the president was coming out of the hotel, they were screaming, we don't need to change to the Constitution, you are a criminal, and so on. Got into his vehicle, drove off, and his bodyguard crossed the street where the protesters were, assaulted them. 2 were able to get away. Unfortunately, one of them, Jacques Miango, was caught by over 5 to 6 bodyguards, assaulted him. Broad daylight in front of the police, in front of the Secret Service. He actually had a concussion and even lost his teeth during this fight. But there has not been any arrest, and it's quite disheartening to actually see that the type of impunity that we see inside of the Congo is also taking place in Washington, and there is no accountability for this situation.
Right. Explain really quickly why he's wearing military garb, and why do you think the D.C. police were kind of just sitting there watching?
There is a movement of young Congolese around the world who are wearing military uniform as a statement of saying that we are fighting for the country, and they call them les combattants. So it's a local movement of Congolese who are denouncing the regime that's in Congo. That's why he was wearing the military uniform. But what is important to actually note about him is a peaceful protester who did not assault anyone, who did not throw a rock, who did not say any derogatory terms in the presence of the police. And how do I know so? Because there is a police report, and he was not arrested after the situation. The problem is people who assaulted him were not at all arrested for the crimes that they committed right here in Washington, D.C., one of the most powerful countries in the world.
I mean, it's just amazing to see these police just standing there. The guy lost 7 teeth. That is, you're getting the crap kicked out of you. I mean, you're not just getting slapped around a little bit. I mean, that's really insane. And he wasn't the only one, Kambale. Talk about what happened to Gambian journalist Fatou Camara and others as they protested outside of the hotel where the Gambian president was.
Exactly. And it seems to be something that's happening as normal here in Washington. President Obama invites African presidents, some of which are dictators, and they come to Washington and assault the protesters. So in the case of Gambia, we had a journalist, Fatou Camara, and another protester, his name is Usainu Mbenga, who was also protesting. Fatou Camara was actually knocked out. She went to the hospital as well. In the case of Usainu, one of the security details actually was wearing a brass knuckle and was punching protester, and he was also assaulted. But with all of this here, the closest thing that we've got to justice is a strong statement from the State Department, where they have asked the countries to waive immunity of the security details, and that's all we have. No arrest, nothing has been done to hold those who perpetrated these crimes accountable.
And as you kind of just alluded, isn't this kind of impunity just an extension of what's given to these African leaders from the top down in their respective countries? And we're just kind of seeing it firsthand, and we're shocked, but this is what they do on a daily basis.
And that shows also, if you see what is happening to Jacques or Fatou here in Washington, this is even worse at home. They have killed human rights activists. But in the case of Floribert Chebeya, was a long-time human rights activist in Congo, was found dead. Many activists who denounce these regimes are killed. But Washington continues to fund, train, equip these military regimes on the African continent with U.S. taxpayers' money. And that's the question we have to ask, because what is happening in the Congo is not an isolated issue. We are seeing it also in Ferguson, where there is a high militarization of security forces with no accountability, assaulting the protesters. We're seeing it also in the case of Congo and African countries on the continent, and also when these leaders come to Washington.
It's happening around the world, man, and we're seeing it up close and personal. Thank you so much for coming on, breaking it down. Kambale Musavuli, spokesperson, Friends of the Congo. Amazing to have you on again.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, you guys. Be sure to follow me on Twitter sphere at Abby Martin. Join me tomorrow when I break the set all over again.